Let's see if this works here. Scoop's looking good. All right, and the accelerator, flipping back. Nice. Nice, we landed 2. Oh, hey, Keller Williams. Sorry, I didn't notice you there. I was just too busy playing the hit flash game Line Writer on my agent website. Why am I doing that, you ask? Great question. I'm still looking for that answer myself, but that brings us to what I want to teach you all about today, and that is more custom pages. And yes, it is possible to embed games onto your website. Not that this is anything you're going to have any use for, but I just want to really show how flexible, just how powerful this tool is. And this is all embedded right here in my agent website. I can click and navigate to other pages. I can hop into Line Writer. We have it set up so you have a nice little instruction pop up that tells you how to play the game. And then you can go ahead and design and build from there. It's really cool. I'm very excited. Let's hop into this. Now, when we're going through this, we are going to be doing a bit of HTML coding, and this is going to be very, very light because we have a huge helper, an ace in the hole, something in our back pocket that will essentially make it so we can't fail this. And that is the lovely artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. Now, this is a very, very powerful tool. I have some other videos that really cover some of the things we can do with it. And yes, this side of things is definitely more on the techie end, but that doesn't mean you have to be techie to use it. You just have to have a little bit of patience and some critical thinking to make it happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we are going to make we're going to make a custom page for Line Writer. 2, we are going to create an HTML embed. Instead of the iframe that we made before, which kind of dressed it all up nicely for you, we're going to manually create our own iframe with HTML. And then we're going to have to do some iterations, some fixes, and just some changes as we step through to make sure our code does exactly what it needs to. And I'm working with this live with you all here. We're going to see all the mistakes, and we are going to figure out how to make this work together. Now, the first thing you need to do is obviously figure out what you want to embed. For us, I'm going to use Line Writer, and that's just, linewriter.com. Punch that in, boom, that's the web address that we need. We have step 1 done. Now, step 2, we are actually going to have to go into our agent site. We're going to be in the dashboard here. And the first thing we want to do is make a custom page. So go ahead and click that module. If you wanted to, you could do the landing page, which would not have this navigation bar at the top. But for our uses, let's keep it as the custom page. I want that navigation bar. So page title here, I'm going to name this Line Writer. Example. For this one here, I do want I'm going to put the spaces here so that title looks nice. And I'm actually probably going to hide that, but I'm going to leave that there for the moment. I won't do a background image either, but what we want to get to is the add module button down here. So go ahead and click that. We'll scroll down to the bottom and do our HTML embed this time. We will then click on it because we know we want an HTML embed, and now we need to select the embed, and we are actually going to make a brand new embed for this one. And we'll hit create new, and then we get to this HTML editor, and you're probably going to stare at me and be like, how do I do stuff? I type things here, I put in Line Writer, whoops, I had to ask, linewriter.com, and if we look over here, we actually do have some text that appeared on our page, but it's just this little, piece of text here. It doesn't do us any good. We need to turn that into some HTML code here. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask GPT to make us some code. Pretty easy. That's Line Writer. That's not ChatGPT. ChatGPT. I need to, or can you, HTML for this link. So say, hey, just make an HTML embed. I'm going to copy that Line Writer web address and paste it in here. So make an HTML embed for this link, hit the enter key. gives us a little bit of a, hey, here's what you can do. It tells you a little bit on what all the individual elements do, but all you need to do, copy the code, and we're gonna hop into that custom page, because this is the embed module, and we're gonna go ahead and paste that text in here. Yeah, that looks interesting. It looks a lot different than mine did before, but let's go ahead and hit this preview button just to see if that small preview is the only thing that looks weird. And no, this actually looks quite weird. We can, still play and interact with it, and it works fine, but we have all this weird spacing here. So let's go ahead and ask ChatGPT about it. And we're just going to report back the iframe displayed, but it only takes up a small portion of the screen is what I'm gonna say. Can you fix this? You don't even have to ask it to fix it, but we'll be polite. I forgot my question mark. Anyway, certainly if the iframe is displaying a small portion of the screen, adjust the dimensions, and so they go ahead and updated the code here, and they updated the width and the height dimensions here, but I'm gonna go ahead and copy this code, and we'll hop over to this once again, and we will paste it right in there. And boom, awesome. We have that looking full screen right now. So that pretty much looks very similar to what we had on my page here. So I'm gonna go ahead and preview it. And boom, we have the line writer here. It popped up. That looks good. That's workable. I think overall, I'm pretty happy with that. And then let's go ahead, hop back to this. And what I want to do here is see what this looks like in a page. So right now, the only thing that we're looking at here is the embed module. This is not the full web page. This is just that individual component we're editing. And so there might be some changes when we actually put it on the real page. Don't do what I just did. Make sure you publish, or make sure you hit the save icon before you make any changes. Once again, I forgot my internal name. All right, so now we hit the publish button. Cool, so that looks good here. So I'm gonna hit this back button, which is gonna bring us to that custom page, the line writer example page. And then what we need to do in this HTML embed section is click this, and we find that line writer example that we just made. And it populates right there on the right. And let's say we don't like that text up at the bottom, the line writer example text here, we can hide that title. And then that is going to disappear for us, and we just have this. And once again, I am gonna go ahead and hit this preview button. Make sure it looks good. We're able to scroll down, we're able to hit play, and we're able to play the game. We can draw, we can do things, we can, well, not do much. But anyway, we can play the game, we can do whatever, we can get it in there. And one of the other things that I added onto this one, which is just kind of an extra thing, for my individual site, I'll go ahead and leave this page here. Whoops, that is Twilio. When you click on line writer, you get this little pop-up here that gives you some instructions for it. So I don't know how to code a HTML well whatsoever, but I want to figure out how to do this. So let's go ahead and make it so we have that little pop-up there. So let's go ahead and ask ChatGPT to do that for us. So that says, try your cool. So I tell it what I want the thing to say is a button. Oops. The pop-up goes away. So we want to make it, so we're going to break this down here. I want to make it so there's a pop-up when the page load that says draw your track and press space to play, press U to reset. So we have the text for that pop-up ready. We know it's a pop-up when we have the text, and then we want that button below. So when I pop it in here once again, I'm going to go go ahead and refresh it. We have the pop-up that says play, and we hit that, it goes away. I just want to make sure there's some instructions for people on how they can play it on the site. So I'm going to go back to this. That looks good. Press that enter key. So it's going to go ahead and rewrite this code for us here. And there's a lot more that we have going on here, but this is essentially the styling for that pop-up. And let's go ahead and just copy all this text here, or we can hit the copy code button. And we're going to go into this to edit our HTML embed for the line writer example. And we're going to paste that new one in there. And boom, actually, we do have a pop-up that looks good there. So let's go ahead and hit the preview button. Okay, cool. So that works. That looks pretty good overall. And we hit the play button and we can pop up and play. And let's just throw an extra thing in there. Let's say that if we look at the one I had versus this one, this box is like more square. I don't know. It's what it is. It looks fine, honestly. But let's say I want to change the formatting. I want to make it look different. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to add formatting. So the pop-up is rounded, and the font is of the sans serif family. But I'm gonna go ahead and ask it for something that I don't think is gonna work, but we're gonna try it. Pressing the play button is. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask it a question, see if, hey, we can do some confetti. Let's say they're gonna go ahead and, so it says, yes, you can add rounded corners, and they're gonna use a JavaScript library to add confetti when the play button is hit. I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna see what happens here. I haven't done this before. We are testing this live. So select all and paste it. Okay, so far nothing is broken. That looks like it is the right font, and the borders are rounded, so that looks good. If we hit the play button, okay, we don't get confetti, unfortunately. I'm not entirely sure why. I'm not going to worry about debugging it, but I guess what we could do here is if you ask it for something and it doesn't work, we could say the confetti didn't appear. Oops. All right, so it says, hey, it might be an issue with the library, which is essentially a source for some coding materials. And so they went ahead and replace that with something else. And we're gonna copy, paste that in there. Let this update and think, check our preview, and hit play. And we still get no confetti. And maybe this is something that, you know, there could be customizations on the individual agent site that's preventing that from popping up, because that's a relatively unusual thing. But the takeaway is whenever you have issues with your code, you can just tell ChatGPT what the issue, what the expected function was, and what actually happened, and it will rewrite that code for you. And I could say it still didn't appear. And I say maybe it's possible that it's being hidden by other elements on the page. And I'm going to see what it said. Okay, so it went ahead and adjusted it, and so made it so the confetti will be the top thing on the page. I have no idea. We're going to copy paste it. This is our last iteration, and we will move from there. And actually, I think that broke it for us. It did. So we are missing that pop-up for it. And so part of the new code doesn't like that. So we'll just undo that change and make it so we get that nice pop-up there. But once again, the takeaway, you talk with ChatGPT, you tell them the problems. I would come back here and tell them that, hey, the pop-up disappeared when I changed that code. They'll give me a new iteration, and so on and so forth. It's not too difficult to use. You really just have to take a little bit of time to understand how this tool works. And so we can develop that. And now we did all of that stuff. We made this page. I'm gonna go ahead and close out all those other tabs. We have this code. We know that it works. What we need to do then is actually make sure that this web page is accessible somewhere. So we'll hit the publish button because we have to do that. And we hit back, which will bring us to the page. So we were editing the element. Now we're editing the page. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the publish button. And that is going to make sure that this is live on the website. And then once again, if I want to grab the URL, I can copy that right here. I can paste this, put it wherever. Or if I wanted to add it to that top navigation pane, we can do that through the organization site tab here. And I highlighted that in a previous video, and actually in part 1 of the site, we did add it to that navigation pane. But now I can click on this URL and I have good old line writer that I can play here right in my browser. Anyway, I really hope that was useful. Sky is the limit for this stuff. Please play around with it, have fun. Let me or let your MCTT know if you have any questions on how you can implement some things to your site. Try to leverage ChatGPT as much as you can. It's a great learning tool. It has a lot of really useful functions for really everybody. Either way, I really appreciate you taking the time to really hop in today to educate yourself, to learn something new, and to continue your individual and professional growth. I really appreciate you. I hope you have an awesome weekend, great holiday season if it's still the holidays when you are listening to this, and I'll catch you all next time.